Hello dear friends, let's talk about problems of Renault Clio. In the Renault Clio, all petrol engines are equipped with the 4 valves and indirect multi-point fuel injection. The basis is the 1.2 16V 48 kW drive unit that has one cam in the cylinder head where the valves are operated via rockers. This unit is not very temperamental, so the recommendation is a more powerful version with 55 kilowatts. It has a lot of energy even at low revs and has no excessive consumption, up to about 6 liters. There is also a 1.4 K4G engine with 2 camshafts in the engine head and variable valve control. It has significantly higher consumption on paper and 72 kilowatts, which is not felt at all when driving, especially at lower speeds. The response to depressing the accelerator pedal is quite weak. The increase is cylinder stroke from 70 to 80.5 millimeters. Has a higher 1.6 with the code K4M and a power of 82 kilowatts. Compared to its smaller brother, the dynamics are much better without high fuel requirements, but it occurs relatively rarely. After the upgrade came the more powerful version 1.6, which due to increased compression ratio from 9.7 to 1 to 11 to 1 has a power of 94 kilowatts. These units can be considered quite reliable, but in the first years of their production, they had more problems with the coils. It is also recommended to change the water pump after 120 kilometers together with the timing belt, as the water pump may leak. If you like car racing, there is a possibility to choose between 2-liter petrol units. M30R M00R, the first variant with the power of 4 kilowatts, comes with from Nissan, which is marked MR102DE. The all-aluminum engine is very sophisticated thanks to a pair of balance shafts as well as a floating flywheel. It also has variable valve regulation, which can be seen through very good flexibility in low speed. The top offer is 2-liter unit of its own production with the power of 20 kilowatts at 145 rpm and a torque of 7,100 Nm at 215 rpm. The engine is really very powerful. Since 2007 there is also a compressor version 5400 TCE marked D1.2F with a power of 4 kilowatts, with indirect fuel injection of compression of 74 to 9.8. Supercharged gasoline engine, as a 2-liter gasoline is expensive to service and repair. Supercharged 1.2 TCE gasoline engines and powerful 2-liter engines have considerable costs because of high fuel consumption, higher maintenance costs, and expensive parts. Turbo diesel 1.5 DCI marked K9K with 8 valves is very economical. It is available in 2 variants, with common rail Delphi 50 kilowatts 70 horsepower at 4000 rpm and 160 Nm 63 kilowatts 85 horsepower at 3750 rpm and 200 Nm or common rail piezo injectors Continentals Siemens 78 kilowatts 105 horsepower at 4000 rpm and 240 Nm. The more powerful variant reduced the compression ratio to 15.6 to 1 from 70.9, which leads to a reduction in noise. Most often, however, they suffer from faulty nozzles, clogged EGR valves, or worn turbocharger bearings, injecting oil into the intake, when they most often dirty the EGR valve. The Renault Clio comes with a 4-speed manual transmission, 5-speed GH3 and GR5, and 6-speed, 5-speed robotic, quick shift and 4-speed automatic. The 6-speed is designed for the most powerful diesel and 2-liter diesel gasoline engines, bearing the TL4 designation. The 4-speed is designed for 1.6 and 2.0 and is robotized and available for 1.2 and 85 horsepower diesel. The sequential gearbox has problem with the electric hydraulic unit. With a 4-speed automatic, it is necessary to change the oil to 80,000 kilometers, despite the fact that the oil lasts the entire life of the transmission. The small Renault Clio 3rd can be included among the more reliable cars, and as is customary, most of the failures occur in the early years of production. When buying it, it is therefore worth a proper insight into the operation of electrical equipment, that is electronic windows, central locking in the fuel cover, radio, air conditioning and heating, because sometimes there are problems with functionality. Failure of the module leads to the inability to start the engine, install a new program or replace it. The chassis is quite robust construction and its condition depends on the environment in which it is driven. The chassis of the Renault Clio is well protected. The problem is usually only relatively fast corrosion of the exhaust, especially the rear, especially for gasoline engines that run on shorter distances. What stood out at the start were some problems with the brakes and suspension, so check this well before buying. Gasoline engines may have problems with the throttle valve maximum 1.2 16V, which is manifested by variable idling. Neglecting to replace the water pump along with the tooth belt, over time the pump starts to leak, usually 1.4i and 1.6i. Sometimes there is even a problem with the coil, incorrect engine operation, or faulty crankshaft / cam position sensor at 1.2 TCE. The fuel pump malfunction in the car does not start. At 1.6 16V, a noisier fuel pump can be encountered, which is usually due to impurities in the fuel. In the case of diesel engine, pay more attention to the currency of the engine mileage, increased noise, and a difficult cold start. The culprit may be a faulty or excessively worn common rail injectors. Occasionally there is a problem with the injection pump or installation, or a fault in the control unit. A squeaky sound, higher oil consumption, and less power are revealed by an overworn turbocharger. The fault of premature turbocharger wear is largely excessively large intervals between oil changes, which is recommended to be reduced to max 15,000 km per year. A worn turbocharger releases engine oil into the intake manifold, causing an increase in oil consumption in addition to clogging the EGR valve. EGR valve over time remains permanently open, which makes it difficult and sometimes impossible to start the engine. When the mileage is above 150 to 200,000 kilometers, excessive wear of the connecting rod and crankshaft bearings, which sometimes results in engine failure. In early 2010, engine endurance was improved. For vehicles equipped with FAP DPF filter, it is not suitable to drive short distances often. If the vehicle is driven frequently on short distances and the FAP filter cannot complete regeneration and the engine turns on standby, which limits the engine power, shorter rides, city driving without sufficient recovery generally shorten the life of the filter and leads to its premature clogging. 1.5 DCI engines 70 and 85 have a typical fault associated with Delphi fuel pump manufacturer. The pump creates metal chips during its operation and destroys the parts associated with the injection. The problem is smaller than it has been in previous generation. The turbine in the DCI 105 is often defective, coming to early termination. The clutch creaking mechanism occurs in many models. The issue was resolved with WD-40 lubrication. Electrical components and electronics are a source of frequent breakdowns in the Renault Clio 3rd. There are problems with the card, with the start button and the switch on the steering wheel, the control electronics of the control panel, the switch on the door window, the wiper motor. Faulty tank cap and electric motor malfunction occurs much earlier than expected. Airbag sensor error. As with many other Renault airbag fault lights, the fault is often associated with the sensor on the front passenger. The light of the lamp. The problem with the stop lights is the problem with the stop light switch. Renault solved the problem by recall. For some Renault Clio models, the front windscreen wipers are self-engaged. Perishable headlights bulbs. Corrosion problems with the Renault Clio are rare and occur in areas of rather unprofessional collision repair. A bad solution is to place a spare wheel under the boot floor. It's a difficult approach and it's always dirty. The common trouble in Clio 3rd is the noise generated by the boot lid. Adjusting the lid does not always help. Climate control or compressor components are usually responsible for climate problems. For the third generation of Renault, the Clio also announced two recall sections. The first was held in the spring of 2007 and related to a faulty stop light switch. The second action is at the end of the summer of 2011. The owners of two 1.2 gasoline engines were called, checking the valves to prevent the possibility of destroying the engine. All engines except the 2.0i 101 kilowatts M4R have a toothed belt. The replacement interval of the timing belt set at 120 kilometers or 5 years. Oils are prescribed class SAE 1.6 V5 ACEA A30/B3 API SH/SJ at 4 CDI with filter and oil ACEA C1.5 3V5 or 30V0 should be changed every 30 kilometers. Maintenance costs Reindeer Clio 3 can be reduced to a very low level, provided, however, suitable engine versions are selected. The popularity of the model and its simple design allow you to keep cars in almost every workshop, and the wide availability of factory parts and replacements for easy everyday use. Don't forget to subscribe my channel, and if you're the owner of this car, then share your experience. It will help others to choose a car. Goodbye.